Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, July 11. Businessman Christopher Zaka will chair a team to assist the government in determining the strategic directions and organizational restructuring at Petrojam. This and other cabinet decisions were disclosed by Prime Minister Andrew Holness during yesterday's sitting of Parliament. We have more in this report from Shernette Bird.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who now has oversight for the energy portfolio, told the House that Petrojam's role in Jamaica's energy security and commercial viability was in need of a strategic review. This, he says, is due to the current imposition of sanctions against Petrojam's co-owners Venezuela and the stall in needed upgrades at the refinery.
So Cabinet has therefore noted the need to put in place a team to assist government and the board to determine the strategic directions of the organization, as well as to assist in organizational restructuring to enable the entity to realize the plans cast.
The other members joining Christopher Zaka on that team will be named by next Tuesday. A new general manager for the oil refinery will also be announced, as Floyd Grindley has agreed to depart. In further attempts to bring a greater accountability to the governance of Petrojam and other public bodies, the Ministry of Finance is to give Cabinet proposed amendments to the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act. Prime Minister Holness also revealed that ministers through the Cabinet Secretary and Permanent Secretary will now have to approve travel for public officials. Meanwhile, persons being considered for board positions must disclose their residency status. To ensure transparency with donations to and from public bodies, the Finance Ministry is to establish a ceiling for donations approved by boards. The ministry must also establish the number of times a single applicant can benefit and outline a uniform application and approval process.
If the entity wishes to make donations above the ceiling, then such donations should be channeled to a grant-making agency of the government.
The Prime Minister has also announced that entities financed by the Consolidated Fund will no longer be allowed to allocate a budget for corporate social responsibility and donations, except for matters dealing with human resource and staff welfare. Cabinet will have to give approval for all sole source retainer contracts, and these must be included in annual reports. The Finance Ministry will also incorporate these requirements into its procurement policy.
Whatever issues are raised, the government will act to address them. This government has nothing to hide, and we are not shielding anyone, and we are not covering up anything.
Reporting for JIS News, I'm Shernette Bird.
The Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General's chambers have been instructed to examine and give special attention to a case that is now being appealed by the state. The court case, which spans 13 years, involves 14-year-old Taj Rowe, who suffers from brain damage. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the assurance to Taj's family during a visit to their home on Tuesday. Mr. Holness says while justice was being fast-tracked, he was moved to make a personal donation to the family. That donation, the Prime Minister says, will span beyond now.
There is a sense that has to be built in this society that we care for persons who are marginalized, less fortunate, vulnerable. And so the state bureaucracy has to follow the law and has to try and perfect the law almost. And the Attorney General's department has that duty, and they are following that. But it can't be to the expense of compassion. And I have that duty to give a direction to the state that we must be compassionate and caring about our citizens, and I have to lead by example in that regard.
In other news, the House of Representatives has adopted all 77 amendments made by the Senate to the major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency MOCA bill. The decision came during a sitting of the House on Tuesday. National Security Minister Horace Chang says the passage of the bill signals confidence in the unit's ability to bring about significant improvements in the security force's capacity to deal with organized crime and corruption. MOCA is an autonomous body which has principal responsibility to investigate corruption.
The legislation itself is designed to protect that integrity and autonomy and ensure that Jamaica can have this kind of body which will be seen in a special way, particularly Jamaica, to deal with organized criminal activity and corruption.
The passage of the MOCA bill will allow for, among other things, the appointment of a Director General. The bill was first approved by the lower house in January with 61 amendments and in the Senate in June with 77. And finally, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is this week carrying out drain cleaning activities in several communities across the corporate area. Deputy Mayor Winston Ennis gave details on the project at yesterday's monthly meeting of the corporation. The drain cleaning exercise is being financed through the corporation's Equalization Fund. The annual program seeks to reduce flooding, which usually occurs during rainy periods.
As we speak, we have the engineer department out in the field. They're out in the fields, looking at the fields, and in phase one, we're going to have 21 divisions.
The divisions benefiting under Phase 1 include Raytown, Seaview Gardens, Dehaney Park, Tivoli Gardens, Havendale, Norman Gardens, Springfield, Barbican, Mavis Bank, Norbrook, Payneland, Hagley Park, and Casher Park. Under Phase 2, critical drains in communities in the other 19 divisions of the municipality will be cleaned. The project is expected to last until September. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.